Did you know that around 75% of people experience anxiety when speaking in public? That's a staggering number. Despite the fear, effective speaking is one of the most powerful skills you can have. A study by the University of California found that good speakers can boost their career success by as much as 20%. Yet, many follow the same tired rules, thinking they're the key to great speaking. But what if I told you that the best speakers often break these traditional rules? They use techniques that might surprise you. Instead of reading from a script or trying to be perfect, they embrace pauses, tell unfinished stories, and even make bold statements that challenge the status quo. In this video, we'll explore 6 unconventional strategies that can transform you into a captivating speaker. You'll learn how to make your audience hang on every word, connect with them on a deeper level, and leave a lasting impact. Ready to discover the secrets behind why the best speakers stand out? Let's dive in. Chapter 1: The Power of Pauses. Silence speaks volumes. It might sound strange, but silence is one of the most powerful tools a speaker has. Many believe they need to fill every moment with words, but that's a common mistake. Great speakers know how to use pauses to their advantage. In fact, a well-timed pause can be more impactful than words. A study by the University of Groningen showed that pauses in speech allow listeners to better absorb information and increase comprehension by 13%. When you speak, give your audience time to process what you're saying. It's tempting to rush through your ideas, but pausing builds anticipation and allows your message to sink in. Think of it as punctuation in a conversation. Without it, everything blows together. Barack Obama is a master at this. His pauses add weight to his words, making every sentence feel more meaningful. Many speakers are afraid of silence. They think it feels awkward or uncomfortable. But this discomfort is actually an opportunity. It makes people lean in, waiting for what comes next. Your silence creates suspense, and suspense keeps people engaged. It's a trick many great storytellers use, and speakers can learn from this as well. If you feel nervous about pausing, try this. After delivering a key point, count to 3 in your head before continuing. It may feel like an eternity, but to your audience, it's just the right amount of time. Studies show that an ideal pause length is between 1 to 2 seconds to avoid seeming too abrupt or dragging it out. Pausing also gives you a moment to collect your thoughts. When you're not rushing, your words will be clearer, and you'll have more control over your tone. So, the next time you give a presentation or speech, embrace the silence. It could be the thing that sets you apart from everyone else. Chapter 2: Forget perfection. Relatability over rhetoric. Perfection is overrated. If you're aiming for flawless speeches with 0 mistakes, you're aiming for the wrong thing. Great speakers don't try to be perfect, they focus on being relatable. In fact, 75% of people in a survey by the Center for Talent Innovation said they are more likely to trust someone who admits their flaws. When you come across as too polished, it can make you seem distant. Audiences want to connect with someone who feels real, not a robot. Brené Brown, author of Daring Greatly, says it best: vulnerability is the birthplace of innovation, creativity, and change. When you allow yourself to be vulnerable on stage, you make room for genuine connections. Think about it. Have you ever listened to a speaker who seemed perfect in every way, yet somehow you couldn't relate to them? That's because perfection builds a wall between you and your audience. Instead, let your quirks show. Share a personal story where things didn't go as planned. People love hearing about failure because it's real. In Talk Like TED, Carmine Gallo points out that the most popular TED Talks are those where the speaker is authentic and personal. For example, Simon Sinek's Start With Why talk, which has millions of views, was not perfectly rehearsed, but it resonated deeply because it came from a genuine place. If you mess up a line or lose your train of thought, don't panic. A simple smile or a laugh can turn what you see as a mistake into a moment of connection. People will remember how you handled it, not the mistake itself. Plus, it humanizes you. So, ditch the perfectionism. Speak from the heart and watch how people respond. Chapter 3: Ditch the script. The art of controlled improvisation. Many speakers rely on scripts to feel secure, but being too tied to one can backfire. Great speakers understand the value of controlled improvisation. It's about staying on message while also leaving room for flexibility. This keeps the speech fresh and allows you to connect more organically with your audience. In a study by Harvard Business Review, 90% of people said they preferred speakers who adapt to the room's energy over those who stick rigidly to a script. When you're not glued to a script, you can react to the mood of the audience. Are they laughing at your joke? Take a moment to riff on it. Are they looking a bit lost? Slow down and clarify your point. Improvisation doesn't mean winging it. It means knowing your material so well that you can talk about it from different angles without needing to follow a strict order. This is what makes people like Oprah Winfrey such magnetic speakers. She doesn't rely on rigid notes, instead, she lets the conversation flow naturally. When you're open to improvisation, you give yourself the freedom to respond in real time. And audiences notice this. It makes the experience feel alive and tailored to them. Research shows that when speakers adjust to audience feedback, they are rated 30% higher in engagement. To practice this, try delivering parts of your speech in a casual conversation with a friend. Notice how the dialogue feels more fluid compared to reading a script. This practice will help you trust your instincts when speaking in front of larger audiences. Controlled improvisation also makes your speech more dynamic. If something unexpected happens, maybe a tech issue or a distracting noise, you can address it and turn it into a memorable moment. Audiences appreciate when a speaker can roll with the punches. So, next time you prepare a speech, don't memorize every word. Know your key points inside and out, and allow yourself some room to improvise. You'll be surprised at how much more engaging your speech becomes. If you're finding these tips helpful, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. You won't want to miss the next strategies that will take your speaking skills to the next level. Chapter 4, Storytelling 2.0. How to use unfinished stories. Most of us were taught to tie up every story with a neat little bow, but great speakers know the power of leaving stories unfinished. It's a tactic that keeps your audience on the edge of their seats, waiting for more. Instead of rushing to wrap things up, allow some suspense to linger. This keeps people engaged and eager for the resolution. Psychologists call this the Zeigarnik effect, which refers to our tendency to remember incomplete tasks better than completed ones. The same applies to stories. When you start a story but don't immediately finish it, the audience's brain stays locked in, trying to figure out what's coming next. It's a sneaky but effective way to maintain attention. Think of it like a TV series cliffhanger. You don't get all the answers right away, and that's exactly why you can't stop watching. A speech can work the same way. Leave your audience wanting to know more. When Steve Jobs gave his famous 2005 Stanford commencement speech, he started with a story about dropping out of college, but he didn't reveal the full outcome until later in the talk. This technique pulled listeners through the entire speech. Another benefit of using unfinished stories is that it makes your audience active participants. They'll mentally try to finish the story themselves, making your talk more interactive. According to Made to Stick by Chip and Dan Heath, this type of curiosity gap is one of the most effective ways to keep people focused. You don't have to leave every story unfinished. But try this. In your next presentation, start a story, and pause before the resolution. Move on to another point or anecdote, and only return to finish the story later. You'll notice how engaged your audience stays, simply because they're waiting for that ending. Chapter 5, Be Polarizing. The magic of bold statements. Playing it safe won't make you memorable. If you really want to stand out as a speaker, don't be afraid to be polarizing. Bold statements create emotional reactions, and emotions make people pay attention. A study from Princeton University showed that people are more likely to remember information when they have a strong emotional response to it. It's not about being offensive or shocking just for the sake of it. It's about having the courage to take a stand on something, even if not everyone agrees. Simon Sinek's famous quote, "People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it," is a great example. He doesn't water down his message. He takes a strong, clear position, and as a result, his speeches have lasting impact. Bold statements also help you cut through the noise. In a world where we're bombarded with information, only the most striking messages stick. When you say something unexpected, it forces people to think. Author Sally Hogshead, in Fascinate, explains that polarizing ideas can create a strong connection with some people, even if others disagree. And that's okay. You're not trying to please everyone. When you make bold statements, you also invite conversation and debate, which keeps your ideas alive long after your speech ends. For example, TED speaker and author Brené Brown doesn't shy away from controversial ideas like the importance of vulnerability in leadership. She challenges traditional thinking, which is exactly why her talks resonate with millions. So, next time you give a speech, don't be afraid to push some boundaries. Take a stance on an issue. Say something that challenges the status quo. You'll not only grab attention, but you'll leave people thinking about your words long after you've left the stage. If you've enjoyed these insights, make sure to subscribe. Join our community to unlock even more tips and tricks to enhance your speaking skills. Together, we can help you become a confident, impactful speaker.